Step right up and get yourself a bottle of herbs, roots, barks, and berries gathered from many parts of the globe and blended into one mild yet effective liniment called snake oil.
Boy, oh boy, Dr. Tommy Scott from Georgia.
Right.
All this started way back in 1890. You've been with the show 50 years.
Yeah, that's almost 50 years.
All right, you're the last of the medicine shows. That's why we asked you.
Thank you for asking me to come. The last of the real old-time pitching medicine men.
Do the people buy this stuff?
Yes, they do. It's for real. This is the snake oil here. This is it's what it is. Actually, what it is, if you've got minor aches and pains, rheumatism, this type of thing, it was first put together by old Doc Chamberlain, and it had in it camphor, and it had plain old turpentine and pure grain corn alcohol to make it penetrate. And you could rub those aches.
Drink it.
It's the, no, that won't do to drink it. No, if you drank a little of that stuff tomorrow morning, you'd be hard to catch.
I see, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, you are on the road. You play 350 different towns a year.
Different towns a year. The important thing is different towns a year. Now, I took over when the old doc retired, and I've kept a diary. This is where I have been to prove it. We have people say, prove it to me that you've been in 350 different towns, you know. So we've got together.
That's in a year.
In a year. That's 1 year. And almost 50 years, you see, that makes many, many performances. And we don't think that there's any. In fact, the Smithsonian Institute took a survey down in Washington. They took a survey on tab shows and medicine shows and carnivals and so on. And they tell us that we're we've been in more different towns than any show on earth.
Are you an expert on herbal remedies and home remedies?
Well, I try to be.
You try to be. All right. 645-3211 is our number if you want to get in on this. If you're dialing from out of town, 645-3211 and make it collect. I understand that people for Dr. Tommy Scott, that people from Europe use garlic a lot.
Oh, yes. Garlic is one of the finest things for high blood pressure.
High blood pressure?
High blood pressure.
What do doctors say about this?
Doctors agree. Now, the funny thing, quite a few years back, everybody kicked the old medicine man. But you go back and check with the Indians. The Indians, when the settlers came to the United States and Canada, they found that the Indians were mixing together these concoctions. Some of those old guys living to be 110 years old.
Well, there's a thing called Asiac that people swear by to help with cancer. That was an Indian remedy.
That is correct. And the mental attitude had a lot to do with it, and still does. In other words, if you go to a doctor now and you're going to have surgery, and you say, well, I've about had it, well, then the doc's reluctant to take you in. If you say, let's get the knife out, get it over with, you're going to come through. Mental attitude has a lot.
What's that box there?
Well, this right here, this one, that's what's called the jam pitch box.
Jam pitch.
There was 3 types of medicine shows in the old days, back in the 1800s and so on. There was the tent shows. That's the one that would come in and put the big tent up, you see. Now, they did not charge admission, see. They sold the bottle of snake oil or the herbal compound. That's the way they paid the bills. Had to pay the performers and so on. All right, the tent show was the one. Then they had the platform medicine show. That's where you had about 6 or 8 performers that doubled and done many characters, and they'd go out and put up a little platform and pitch their words on the courthouse square and so on. Now, you ask, what is this? That's the jam box, and here's where it comes in. That's the one-man show's complete store right here. He could go in like the old-timey docs like to go in where there's having a court trial. That created a lot of people, you see. When they'd break for lunch, well, then everybody would start to come out. He could set this thing up real quick, unfold it. He carried the stock right with him. He could do the pitch, and there might be a license, you know, that he needed to have gotten ahead of time. He might have neglected to have done that, and if somebody should have called the police or something, why, he could fold the thing up right quick, take the store right with him.
And he'd sell that stuff right there?
Right on the spot. He'd do the entertaining. They'd usually pick a little guitar music, and they'd do a little magic, you see, and so on. This dates back to England, like 400 years ago. It was not a real medicine show as the way I think of it back in England.
But I mean, you go right back into the vitals of American history.
Absolutely right. We are the last. It's a lost art everywhere except with Dr. Tommy Scott's medicine.
All right. Nobody coming up into this field?
I put it this way, old Bleb, who has been with me 35 years, he's my comedian on the show. We go in and put the show on, and he is going to carry on, I hope, and my grandson. My grandson has a little band. He just graduated from high school. He's in college this year, and I'm hoping, I'm not pushing him. I want him to do it on his own. If he's going to do it,
has it been a good life? 350 towns a year?
I live it.
For 50 years?
I live it.
How many million miles have you traveled?
I have no idea, but like I said, I have all the names of the towns here that we've played. You can reach right
Yeah.
in here and pick out your a date that when you was born, and I can tell you the town that I was in that night. And this is a different town every day. You see, a lot of people go on vacation. They save up to go on vacation, but they just breeze through all these towns. We move 50, 75 miles a day. We have the whole day to fool around, and we put the show on at 8 o'clock, and here we go to another town.
Where are you appearing tonight?
Oh, tonight. You caught me right off.
Is it in the book? Where tonight?
It's not in the book yet. It was in Grimsby last night, and we'll be over in Ottawa next Tuesday. It's another town. You know.
Ottawa?
Yeah.
Damn right, it's another town.
That's one of the bigger towns that we play. I've been there 13 years for the same
How
spot.
dare you call our capital a bigger town?
A big town. It's really too big. We love to play the little country towns back in the sticks and so on that don't get much entertainment otherwise.
Is it because people there appreciate your kind of genius?
One of the things is this. They'll come to see the show. Years ago, this especially happened when it was a free show, you see. And they would buy the stuff, and you'd find a guy, he'd sneak back off and throw it back in the bushes, you know, and he'd come around later and he'd say, you know, your show is clean, the good old medicine show is clean. I brought my family out for 3 or 4 nights, and they've had a lot of fun. We know the bills have got to be paid. I don't want the medicine. I bought it. You know what we do? We go out after the show, pick that stuff up, wash it up, clean it up, sell it again tomorrow night.
Tommy's right. All right, let's take a few calls about this, Herbert. You know, have you been to one of these shows? What do you think? Charrington, hello.
Hi, can I speak to Tom, please?
Yeah, go ahead. He's right here.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, how you doing there?
It's last night down in Grimsby.
Did you like it?
Cool.
Did you buy some of this stuff?
No, I didn't buy your medicine oil then. I bought your record and I bought your book.
Oh, great. Well, that helps to pay
What
the
I'm
bill.
asking about, like a friend of mine, he wants to get a bottle of this medicine, and we're wondering how it'd be to cure scours on a cow.
Scours on a cow.
Well, I've never tried it for that, but it might be good to grease the wagon with.
Grease the wagon, eh?
No, really,
What kind of a friend is he? Talks about his cow scours with you.
You know, the funny thing, Tom, I think where they got that from, really, back in the 1800s, there was many medicine shows, and there were some of them for real, and some of them were fakers, you know.
Right.
The Kickapoo Medicine Company was supposed to have, at one time, had 100 different shows, and they really didn't have but 10, see. But you see, back in those days, news got around rather slow, and these guys would go into town, and they'd mix all kind of stuff up and call it Kickapoo, which it wasn't. That's what got in the United States in 1906 got the Pure Food and Drug Act passed, and of course you got it here in Canada the same type thing. You know, we're under the control of that now. Back in those days, there was where the old horses used to have sores underneath the collar.
Yes.
Well, they would use this liniment. They'd use it, and it worked. So, answering her question.
You know, a lot of people who travel these shows were the preachers.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Wow, a lot of rogues there too.
Oh yes, there was a bit of religion. There was a bit of religion in the medicine man's pitch.
Yeah.
And we're right here on television right now, and this is quite a medicine show. The medicine man had to create attention, had to create a crowd so he could pitch his wire, and they do it right now on television. It's just done more modern.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
Done some
where
of that
can we
myself.
order a bottle of this from now? He wants a bottle.
Oh, the only place in the world you can get a bottle of genuine S-oil liniment is from Doc Tommy Scott's Medicine Show.
You've got to go to Ottawa.
He missed you in Grimsby.
Madam, I hope your cow's udders get better.
That's Scours, Tom, Scours.
What, isn't that a mark
This
on
is
the...
where you get your milk from. Bye-bye.
Udders. Charrington, hello.
Hello, Mr. Cherington. How are you?
Not bad, madam. I'm rubbing snake oil all over my body.
Now,
Go on.
I have a broken shoulder, and
Yeah, don't listen to your television set, madam.
It's developed in my right arm a bit of tendinitis. And I just wondered, is there anything I can put on it?
I put that this way. When you are seriously hurt, and for instance, arthritis,
Yes.
medical science tells us that nobody has the answer for arthritis either, you see. And we don't claim to have either, but I'll tell you this, we will say this. When we sell you a bottle of our snake oil and you use it according to directions, rub it on where you got those sore, tired, aching muscles. And a lot of people, the mental attitude's involved, and you believe in what we say, and there's a bit of, as I said, a little prayer don't hurt anything either on that thing. But sometimes it'll give you a lot of relief, and we don't say we got a cure, we say we may relieve, and it might. Now, you may have spent hundreds or thousands of dollars otherwise. We're not kicking doctors. We've got to have them in hospitals too.
Oh,
but you can rub a little of it on and believe in it, and it might help. If it don't, we give you your money back, and that's better than the undertaker.
Boy, better than the undertaker. Thank you for your call, ma'am. We'll be back with scoured kidneys and all the rest. You ladies and gentlemen in the audience, what is your favorite home remedy? Tommy Scott, you're going to be doing a television show.
Yes.
On cooking with herbs.
Yes.
For medicinal relief.
Well, really, we don't want to people to look at it with that vein, and I'll tell you why. Because nothing wrong with it, but if you think about cooking with the herbs and think seriously about this might help your ills and so on, it kind of turns you off. There's nothing wrong with eating a piece of pie sitting on the toilet. You know what I mean? But the attitude is, you know, it's just it's not hard. It's good.
What do you mean?
Well, you see.
Did you mean to say that?
The surroundings have something to do with it.
Oh, I see.
So what we want to do is to hide the medicinal.
It's usually a cigarette, but still.
We want to hide the medicinal idea a little bit and make good for good cooking. The pilot show that we did, we had southern fried chicken, and we had peaches with cinnamon. Cinnamon is an herb, and come to find out, you got there's bay leaves, chives, dill, and dill pickle. You know, so.
Well, what do they do for you?
They're good medicinal. They're good for it. There's good medicine. So you're eating it, but if you think of that ahead of time and say, well, you don't want to do that. You want to enjoy the food, but that keeps you from getting sick.
In other words,
won't have to use
people hate eating food that's good because it's good for them.
Absolutely. There's a funny thing about it. It's a mental thing, but it happens. Now, that's one of the differences between an animal, a real animal. You take a dog or a cat or an elephant or whatever, and they know how to eat. They know really more about what to eat and how to eat. And you take an old dog to get sick, he'll go out and dig around in the woods and get himself a herb of some sort or another, and he'll get well. See. So it's a funny thing. It's something I think it's too big for the mental, our mental capacity to handle. It's all mental. Everything is mental, almost. Just think of that. And out of all the hundreds of millions of impressions that hits the mind per minute, you see, if they don't know anything. Medical science they've not even started to tap that. And I really think that somewhere on this earth there is an herb that would cure almost any disease if we mentally could figure out which one it would be. Because the great medicine man in the sky knew what he was doing when he set this whole thing up for you and I and all the animals and so on. We just haven't got that for yet. Maybe we will later.
Trouble is, most of us eat like elephants.
That's exactly right.
All right. Charrington, hello.
Good morning. I'm very interested in hearing the comment about the garlic.
Yes, ma'am.
Father was supposed to have cancer some years ago. Had an operation. 5 years later, it was diagnosed that she now had cancer of the liver. And she was given by a herbalist doses, very heavy doses, daily of garlic. 15 different kinds of herbal teas to drink. Now, that's 25 and a half years ago. She's now 82 and still alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's have the cookbook out with all the herbs.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody's seeking a remedy for something.
Right. Going back to nature's way of living. That's just what it's all about.
All right, let's take some more calls. I want to hear some home remedies. Charrington, hello.
Yes, I have a remedy for, stomach upset.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
You know the anise seeds?
Anisette?
Anise seeds?
Yes.
The dill seeds?
Yeah.
If you boil that with water,
It's horrible.
it's really good for your stomach, though. It takes away, stomach pains and cramps. I notice, my baby, when she has colic,
Oh, yeah.
boil that with water, and then I put a little bit of sugar, and she's fine about 5-10 minutes after I give it to her.
Oh, I see. All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Right.
You heard of that?
Yes, I have. Many of those old-timey herbs. In fact, it's about the only way they had to go, you see, back in the 1800s. And that's going back, like I said, in England, they had troops of entertainers would go around 400 years ago, and not a real medicine show, but they were peddling their wares. And it goes back to China, which is 2,790 years back. There's actual history goes back that far. And the stories they tell, it's pretty hard to kick them down, you know.
Is it, Tommy, that we want to see a doctor in a white office, in a white coat, and all the rest of it?
No, we don't do that way anymore. Now, the old-timey medicine show men would go out and they'd romp and rave across the stage like I did at the opening of the show here.
And like you're going to do at the end.
At the end, okay. Now, the reason everything has changed now, we do it a little more sophisticated. In other words, when we go on stage, I take my hat off and sit down and talk to the people like if I was in their living room. I don't do that romping back and forth, and I actually tell them what the stuff's for and that these herbs are good for constipation and it's a good laxative and so on. And almost like if a religious quartet's going to sing, they wouldn't go in with a Western hat on.
Right.
The respect of the medicine, we take our hat off and get through. Now, once we're through with that, then we say, okay, now we're going to do the show for you the way you thought it should be, and we go into it and we romp and rave and do the pitch and everything, just the way the old-timey shows used to do.
All right. Charrington, hello.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Cherington.
Yes, sir.
I'm calling from the States, and I travel for a living also. I'm a professional pilot, and and I was wondering, is the medicine show and the form that it's being presented, is that strictly a bit of Americana, or did that exist in Canada also?
It exists.
They came up to Canada. There were Canadians doing it, but I see it mostly as an Americana.
About the same time. There was more, believe it or not, in Boston. That's where the Kickapoo Company was founded. It's in Boston, Massachusetts. I was there not long ago on the media, and we discussed that. And like in 1885, I believe it was, down where the big railroad depot was at that time, was an empty lot. The Kickapoo set up and stayed there about 6 weeks. And then they had their shows go out all over, and some of the Kickapoo companies came over into Canada. I went by just to look that over, and now there's a 30-story insurance building or something in that spot where they
I'll tell you a story, Mr. Pilot. I know a lady now in her 80s whose husband left her, and she fell on hard times and didn't know how to make a living, and so she became an Indian princess and went across Canada selling stuff like that, and she became one of Canada's leading female broadcasters, but she doesn't like to be reminded of her snake oil days. So it did happen here, but I think it's a colorful flavoring from the past.
It is, really.
Right.
Tommy, one other thing before I leave. I'd just like to say, since I do travel a bit, I'd like you, before you leave the show, to shake hands with Mr. Cherington and tell him he's got the best program I've seen in North America. I enjoy listening to him down here in the States.
Thank you. Where are you phoning from?
Erie, Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much, sir.
Right, bye.
Happy landings.
Yes.
You always got to say that, Toccoa.
I agree. I just met you, too.
Tomorrow.
Right.
What's wrong with Hamilton? You Torontons, you phone up and tell us what's wrong. We're going to have on the mayor. We're going to have on a regional chairman. We're going to have on a man who says something's got to be done about Hamilton. Give us your final call.
All right. Now, see, what happens is this.
Quickly.
The old docs always had to get them up real close where they could almost touch them on the head, and then they'd say, hey, look this way, Doc Scott's last real old-time medicine show. Now, if you're feeling down and out and you don't know what to do, and it seems the world's done crushed you and your friends turn their back on you, nature's pathway to health will help you. Try a bottle of the stuff today and take it as it's plainly directed. It'll drive your ills away. A little small rub-on in the morning, another noon at night, you'll feel so well you'll want to yell, whoo, the stuff will make you right. Made out of herbs, roots, barks, and berries, sold on a money-back guarantee. There goes a bottle to the left and one to the right, and here goes one to Tom over here. Tom, rub it on, rub it on. Yes, sir. I'll take them Canadian bucks. There you go. Give me that Canadian buck over here.
That's my alimony check.
Oh.
Well, haven't I got $1? No.
Guaranteed to make it feel fine.